nothing terribly serious, as I mentioned.
So let's check in with our chief meteorologist, Michael. Still slick tonight, and then we should be okay, right?
Well, and the biggest problem will be tonight, the wind picking up. You saw that in Caleb's live shot just a minute ago, how windy it was starting to get out there. So blowing and drifting of our dry, powdery snow, that's going to be an issue. Even though we didn't get a whole lot of snow. In fact, around Idaho Falls, an inch and a half, a little more snow in Pocatello. You melt it down, just a minuscule few hundredths of an inch. Not really even picking up a whole lot of snow in the moisture department, but just enough to get those roads very slick outside. A live look through the Rexburg sky cam. It stopped snowing a few hours ago. In fact, now we're just left with cloud cover and the wind rolling through. We're getting more of that snow to the southern half of our viewing area, especially in the southern counties along the Utah-Nevada border. As I take you to First Alert 8 Viper radar, I want to show you that we're still getting some snow right through around American Falls, Rockland there, and out through portions of Power County. Current temperatures outside, well, we're at 26 in Idaho Falls, 27 in Blackfoot and Pocatello. Later up, I will show you what's coming down the pipeline here just in time for your Christmas vacation as we get going for the weekend. Jay?
All right, thank you, Michael. The roads are slick today, but the lack
with
of...
Chief Meteorologist Michael Coates.
A live look here through the Idaho Falls sky cam. Yeah, this is the problem we're dealing with now. So I mentioned this yesterday. The snow is going to hit us in the morning and midday. Then it was going to roll out of here, and then the snow was going to actually be blown around by the winds. We got a cold front coming in through tonight, and we got that cold air seeping in from the north, and this is what we're going to be dealing with all night long. Gusty conditions and pretty nasty wind chills at times. Let me take you to current Viper radar shots here. As I lapse the last couple of hours for you, watch the clock there. You can see that over the past couple of hours, we've seen the snow slowly get into the southern highlands. That's good, getting up towards Pomerelle, some good snow. Also getting a little bit of snow still up around Pebble Creek. But around Pocatello, about a couple of inches on the ground, especially in the bench areas where you're pushing in some spots over 3 inches. Idaho Falls, we didn't get quite as much snow. As expected, we only really got an inch or less, but of course a lot of that was getting blown around. So you have a few little snow piles in your front yard. If you're like me and you don't have a lot of vegetation blocking that stuff. 26 in Idaho Falls right now, 27 in the Gate City, and we got you at 19 in Jackson Hole with 17 in West Yellowstone. Wind speeds, yeah, fairly gusty at this hour, getting into the teens and 20s. North at 16 in Jackson, north at 25 in Arco, and around north at 15 in Idaho Falls. And this trend, like I said, is going to continue with the cold air moving in and the snowy weather dropping off to the southeast. A little bit of high pressure building in throughout the Intermountain West and the Great Basin. There will be some storminess to the north, maybe a little bit of snow for Christmas in the Spokane and Coeur d'Alene, but that's the worst of it. You look around our region, we're not looking for much snow for Christmas. In fact, we're actually going to be clearing out for the holiday. We're going to be looking at high pressure building and maybe a little bit of some snow along the border. But take a look at these cool temperatures. Look, 17 in Soda, 17 in Montpelier. And unfortunately, in those spots, the temperature inversion is going to reassert itself, even with a little bit of some patchy freezing fog. Mackay, you'll see highs around 24, Salmon at 25, 22 in Arco, 24 in Stanley tomorrow. The Upper Plain, Idaho Falls, we're not going to do much better than a 22. If we get any higher than that, we're lucky. 21 in Rexburg, 20 in St. Anthony, and 24 in Dubois. The 8-day forecast, the temperatures will be cold enough to the dew point. We could start developing some of that fog yet again. On into the holiday, we do start to warm back into the lower 30s. Christmas Day, a high of 32 in Idaho Falls. Not bad. 30 this Sunday in Rexburg. Snow in the forecast as we get through next week, especially getting into late Monday. So we may have a good little shot here to maybe test out the new snowboard, a new sled. We'll take a look at numbers at 22 tomorrow in Pocatello and Blackfoot, 25 in American Falls. We go to the forecast here in the 8-day outlook, 24 for Friday in the Gate City, 33 for Christmas Day. And then we'll hold on to those 30s as we get to next week with more snow in the forecast. Blackfoot, 24 for Friday, 33 on Sunday. Quite a bit of snow all the way through into next week, but it's just mostly going to be pesky off and on snow showers. 15 for a high in Jackson, 16 tomorrow in West Yellowstone, and overnight lows well below 0 because we are clearing out tonight. Sunshine in the forecast along with the fog, and look at Jackson Hole's numbers. Ooh, cold. Yeah, really cold. 15, 17, 23 for Sunday, and overnight lows well below 0. Yeah, so the cold front's coming through, doing its job. As we talked about yesterday, brings us the snow and then it clears out. And it's just going to be cold and windy tomorrow.
But what that means is that the snow that's on the ground will not melt before Christmas, so we may have a white Christmas after
Technically,
all.
we're probably going to have a white Christmas. I mean, we're not quite at an inch of snow in Idaho Falls. Maybe at some houses you are, especially towards the foothills, like in Hammond. But we're going to be keeping the snow around for a little bit now.
Whatever is
Have
there
a
is going to
whitish Christmas.
Whitish.
Yeah,
That's
it's kind
the
of
way to put
whitish
it.
out there.
All right. Thank you, Michael.
Still ahead in this newscast, a Pocatello woman is